He said, Dr. Arish, you have to see this and make sure the audiences worldwide see it because they're trying to bury it in medical journals and not let it get to medical doctors.
Okay.
All right, so this is the study. January of this year, they published that there are a common 21 lingering post-COVID long hauler symptoms that are persisting for over a year and a half to 2 years for 87% of populations around the earth. 21 symptoms, and I put them up on the screen. So I want to give these to you because this is why this is so important even right now as Joe Biden's locking down the country again. This long hauler COVID study, they evaluated only people from around the world that had 21 combined symptoms that lasted a year and a half or longer, and no other medical therapy, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, nothing worked. Rehab therapy, nothing worked. Supplements, nothing worked. They decided to take these people and compile all of their 21 long hauler COVID symptoms. So listen, all of these are results of COVID. This next variant they're going to lock us down for is another variant of COVID. Okay, it doesn't matter, they're all the same.
Right.
In this study, they said, we're going to take all these individuals with 21 symptoms of their acute COVID, and if they stayed for 2 years, these symptoms, loss of taste and smell,
Yep.
dizziness, ringing in the ears, tachycardia, chest pains, shallow breathing, new onset of diabetes,
What?
new onset of high blood pressure. They had to have all these symptoms. Insomnia, mood disorders, not a joke, motor deficits. Picture a Parkinson's person trying to walk.
Yep.
Those are all the 21 symptoms people around the world are still struggling with. 35% of the world, up to 87% of some countries still struggling with that who had COVID at any point. So in this study, they took all of these that had these 21 symptoms, and they said, we're going to do one treatment for 6 days, and we want to see how many of your symptoms we can eradicate. And then they gave them the reason why they wanted to do the study, and I showed the audiences here. In the beginning of 2020, a study was done on 8 million people around the world, and they wanted to find out who are the most susceptible to getting COVID. 8 million people.
Yep.
The least people represented as getting sick with COVID or any symptoms were smokers. This
And
study
you're like,
this
why?
year.
Because it's supposed to be something that affects the lungs.
I remember early on with Italy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so this year, January of this year, there's a peer-reviewed published paper. They took these people with 21 symptoms, referenced that 8 million people study, and said, we hypothesize that the protective substance in smokers, nicotine, and they explained why that was beneficial to smokers, preventing them from ever getting COVID, thus never getting COVID long haulers. They said, we're going to take them, all these people with all these symptoms lingering for 2 years, and we're going to ask them to do one thing for 6 days only and stop. And it was to wear a 7 milligram nicotine patch for 6 days.
7 milligrams for 6 days as a patch form.
And I showed them each of the results of every single person. Every single individual by day 3 of wearing a patch, 50% of all of their symptoms disappeared completely. By stopping day 6, they took the 6-day patch off. They wear one every day, a 7 milligram patch, which is the smallest size they sell.
Okay.
They took one off each day, put on another one. By day 6, they stopped. The longest remaining symptom from the beginning of treatment was day 23 for one of the participants. All 100% of symptoms all resolved between day 1 and day 14 for 99% of all of them.
Wow.
They then waited 6 months to find out. We're going to call y'all back and find out how many of these long hauler COVID symptoms that seem to be irreversible, how many of them come back. Not a single one ever
None.
returned. So I stood up there on the stage and I said, I'm going to show you the one thing no damn medical doctor in the entire world has told you, and why they continue to refuse to be honest with you. I told you since my Watch the Water documentary, it's weaponized snake venoms, and I showed them in this study. They referenced why the nicotine works. They said in the paper, the spike proteins of COVID are identical to king cobra venom and crate venom from the snake out of Asia. Just as was published in early 2020. So I said, I don't know why I said, anybody else here in a medical doctor anywhere is talking about snake venom being COVID spike protein? And all of them said no.
Nothing on Twitter from the FDA or CDC or anything
Nobody's
like that.
talking about
Nobody's saying it. I said, so y'all are going to hear people. This is what I said. You're going to hear one doctor after another come up here for the rest of this conference and on media everywhere. And no one's going to tell you what the damn answer is. 6 days is all it took. And then let me go ahead and answer this for you. Some of y'all out there probably thinking, they were all blown away. Some of y'all might be thinking that, what, am I going to get addicted from this nicotine
Right,
product?
yeah.
In the paper, it says, we wondered, is anybody going to have a dependency on nicotine after wearing this for 6 days? Not a single individual reported a need, a craving, nothing, not even once, ever. And they said, we don't expect anybody worldwide will ever have that effect.